Welcome to week two. Howdy. So this video is going to be a bit shorter. The last week's been pretty busy with various things this week, not related to app development or working on the album or anything. It's busy with life stuff, random, unpredictable occurrences and whatnot. So this week, I'm going to talk a bit about only a couple things, just kind of one big theme of the album, the internet a bit. Did my master's thesis research on it and have continued to research it and discuss it in classes and keep up to date on the literature and whatnot. And just be generally interested in the internet and thinking about it. All right, I'm also going to talk about one song and some inspirations from it. The song's called New Boob Tube Blues. A boob tube, that's an old-timey, old-term name for TVs. You would call someone who sat and stared at the TV a boob, which means like an idiot, like a vacant sort of idiot who just kind of blankly stares at the TV and absorbs it and takes it in. Without really thinking. Good analogy for how people view the internet and internet addiction nowadays. Plus, it's a little fun play on YouTube a bit. BoobTube. So various inspirations. I've been wanting to write a song for a bit, kind of inspired by Big Rock Candy Mountain. That's a song about like a hobo's paradise by Harry McClintock. A song I kind of remember from my childhood. A cleaner version of it than the actual version. That's a lot more about drug usage and police and whatnot. The big theme of the song is the internet. Just mostly like internet streams and tubes of watching videos, longer form sorts of content that's either pre-recorded and uploaded like this video is, or just keep snapping my fingers. Breaking rule number 2. Or streams, like Twitch streams and such, that are a person just doing some activity, usually on their computer or playing a game or something live while people watch. Anywhere from 0 to millions of people could be watching any particular individual or group of people at any given point. I do enjoy my video game streams. I watch a few, or video game YouTube videos, among other various videos of things. Let's see. I did watch one streamer. I'm not gonna call names out or anything, but I watched a streamer who plays video games and also talks about like being in a band and talks about various aspects of art and singing and playing, and he made his first album around the time I started watching him. Now he has like 3 or 4 or so albums. So that's YouTube streams and stuff can be good or bad. You can treat them like a boob tube, like a TV or something, just kind of blankly watch and stare and just not think about them or engage, not really learn anything from them, and just like passively watch them like a TV show. Or they can be in the background while you do work and whatnot. Or yeah, it can be good or a bad thing. And like that, watching that one game streamer, kind of was a bit of an inspiration for me to start learning to sing and play guitar and songwrite and whatnot while I'm getting my graduate degree done. You're doing work all the time. I can do my hobbies and kind of integrate them into real life. So that's like how I started as a singer-songwriter, watching a streamer who played games and also kind of did that at the same time. And then my advice for anyone starting anything is sort of just expose yourself to it as much as possible, and just listening to people talk about songwriting and playing guitar and singing and stuff is the big way to get into it in the beginning before you even touch anything, touch an instrument or anything. But I got a lot of pictures here, and we'll talk about those. So it's me rambling again. I'll ramble more on the next slide. There's fewer pictures. The song also was a bit inspired by Woody Guthrie, sort of the same era as Harry McClintock, same sort of general style, at least when we hear it nowadays. Maybe people thought differently back then, like folk singing. My fascination with Woody Guthrie started because I had seen this sticker, this picture of him holding a guitar. This is one of the only pictures actually where he's holding a guitar and the sticker's not on there. The words aren't written on there or something. It was always, "This machine kills fascists." He was around the time of World War II and probably the other World War, I'm not really sure. And fascism was a big enemy back then. A lot of his songs are very anti-fascism. Well, this is a cool sticker with a message that he always wrote himself. He created the sticker, or he just wrote it in a marker or whatever on his guitar so people could see it, and that was his sort of slogan of the brand. I'd never actually heard him, but I kind of was inspired by that to have my own sort of created sticker. It says, "This machine has no brain, use your own." As a psychologist, I very much like that message. It's on my ukulele, and it's on my main guitar I played last week on a different form, different sticker, but kind of means that the guitar is just a thing. It's just some tool. It's not part of you. It's not an extension of you like some people like to view it and see it as. It's just a machine with no thoughts, no emotions. It's not going to spontaneously start creating music on its own. The music and all the words and lyrics, melodies and whatnot come from you. And the way it sounds comes from the way you move your body. The way your voice sounds comes from the way you move your body. And come on, I started playing and singing and stuff. I wanted everything to kind of line up and fit with it. So at the core of a song or whatever is like an emotion or a story or an emotional experience. And you tell that emotional experience with your body. And there just happens to be an instrument there that you're smacking your fingers against, and then you just happen to be letting your voice come out and words come out. But it's the underlying emotion and movement that you put into it that is the music itself. Fun stuff. That was a half-day project putting white tape on my guitar and meticulously creating the words. I like how it bends a bit, so you gotta actually use your brain to read it as well. I do not own this phrase. I did not create this phrase. What else? And then New Boob Tube Blues, title came, and then the chorus is "New Boob Tubin'," because it's fun to say, it's fun to sing. We'll get there in a minute. I'll play it in a minute. But that kind of was lightly inspired by a show, Reno 911, a comedy show. There's a character who gets new boots, and he spends a whole minute talking about new boot goofing, and he's just enjoying having new boots. Fun little random thing, but find it interesting and funny whenever I play the song. You're the first person I ever told about this, whoever's watching this. You're the first person I've ever told, other than myself. There's probably a lot more I could say about how I wrote it and all that stuff. I wrote half of it, and then I played it in a in-person songwriter group. It was the first song I brought to them, to this group. The first time I've ever been to the group. And I played the first half of the song, got good feedback and whatnot, and then wrote the second half as well, kind of following the same themes and whatnot. That's a second step after you just learn from people on the internet, learn from watching other people, observing other people as you be with them for real, like in person, or post stuff online like I started doing before I even played in front of anybody else. And yeah, getting actual real feedback and doing stuff in real time and kind of facing the emotion of having to do it like around or in front of other people or a camera or something is a massive step after immersing yourself in the world and then learning the skills and whatnot. That takes a few years of just absorbing it in from sources of information and people you watch and whatnot, and then actually practicing it yourself in whatever way you want to practice it. Random advice about how to start things. I didn't prepare much for today. I've been, like I said, busy with other stuff. We'll do this together again. But a bit more about the internet. I could talk, I could talk for about like 53 pages worth of thesis document about what the internet is and everything, and social media and internet addiction and all that. It'll come up more later in other songs, I'm sure. I'll just touch base. That's not the right expression. I'll just create the groundwork, the foundation for what I'm going to talk about more so later on. The internet, what is it? I capitalize it. I always capitalize it. The internet, because it's sort of a place. It has become like a physical place. Because our minds don't realize that when we're watching TV, we're not actually like there at, I don't know, Hogwarts or whatever. Like when we're watching a movie or watching a show, like we are there. Unless we're being distracted by something in the real world. If we're paying attention actually to the TV, we are in whatever world that's being created. And it could be a show, a movie, or a video game. Video games, it's a lot easier to get into it because you're actively controlling it with a... Here, I'll include more props. You can actually use it, control it, move around, and it helps your mind kind of place itself into the fake environment. Even something as simple like Pac-Man or something, if you really get into it, you feel like you're there. You feel like you're Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, goblin balls, eating ghosts and whatnot. The same is true for the internet, especially like early internet. By early internet, I mean 90s. It technically started back in the 50s or so with ARPANET and such, but very few people had it, and kind of blew up in the 90s. The internet term got popular, and the World Wide Web, and America Online, and all that stuff. Where people started actually using it to browse massive amounts of information and talk to each other on a daily basis, and like in every home there was a computer typically, and then there started to be more and more computers, and then they became small little devices we can carry around with us. But what the internet is, we called it like websites and whatnot. We use physical terms to describe the aspects of a computer in general, because when we're just on a computer, we feel like we're like actually manipulating things on a desk, and there's no real difference in our minds. That was a big innovation by Microsoft and Bill Gates and whatnot. I said the word whatnot a lot. Of adding the user interface, making it appear as like a physical thing. All this on this computer, and all the folders that are, there's nothing bad. All these folders that are back here, I mean, behind the scenes it's just ones and zeros, computer code, but it lets you move folders around and create briefcases and folders and files and things, and see things in a visual format. That's very good at getting us into the environment of just this fake pseudo-physical space of online or just on the computer or whatever. What am I talking about? Let's see. So we view it in our minds as a place. Like I said, like our minds aren't really attuned to understanding what the sort of, I guess, metaphysical or pseudo-physical nature of watching TV and watching a flat screen that's showing something that was recorded that really hasn't been part of human history for very long. So obviously we haven't evolved to or adapted to it, and our brains don't know what it is. So it's just a place, just another thing. If you're like gambling online, no real different than gambling in person, or talking to people online, not really too different than talking to people in person. There are a few like effects that happen when you're more open about like, who you are and whatnot online, words or text or speech or whatever medium you're presenting with. But kind of the line of what the internet is sort of blurred nowadays. I guess when you say the internet, people just presume like you're getting onto an actual computer or your phone and you're going into a Google search engine. So they kind of associate search engines with the internet, but really the internet is just deeply connected to every aspect of our phones and now like our TVs and doorbells and fridges and speakers and all sorts of things that are connected via a web of things around our lives. I don't have much of that other than just a phone and a computer. Not that I'm opposed to it. It is very convenient in a way. Once it advances a bit more, gets more sophisticated, I do enjoy it. But too many people using it for advertisements. Like, I don't want to buy a new TV. I have a dumb TV from long ago that has no advertisements on it. It just plays whatever I put into it, as opposed to new modern TVs that you open it up and it's like ads for all kinds of nonsense based on your viewing history. It's auto connected to the internet and has to be connected to the internet and constantly update and give you ads perpetually, which decreases the price of it, but makes it suck. It's a bit of a trade-off. I want to avoid it as much as possible, though, or specifically try to find TVs that don't do that as much. But so the internet is within all of our like apps and stuff. You open up Instagram or Facebook or whatever. That's connecting to the internet as well, connecting to this modern cloud up in the virtual sky where all of our information comes together and then disperses out among us. But like text messages, I mean, they don't use the same sort of thing. They use 5G, 4G, 3G, perfectly safe waves to transmit information, like radio waves, I believe. It's a bit different, but I mean, texting, how is that different than using Snapchat to send a message? That goes through the internet rather than through texting, or if you use WhatsApp or Instagram or whatever social media app, probably going through the internet, and it's not really much different than texting and messaging or whatever. So I'd throw messages and text sort of in the mix of the internet. It's just when I say the internet, just connectivity to everyone and everything all the time, which is good and a bad thing. Fun word, I get to say. A place to whore yourself for attention and cry when less than 1,000 people watch or like you. So many people, like you only have a few hundred subscribers or whatever. They're so sad, and they see it as some small, tiny thing. But imagine like doing something in front of 1,000 people in person. I mean, the most people I've had like 160 or so when I teach class, and that's a massive amount of people, and it's overwhelming for years until you get used to it. Really imagine like when you're making a video or something like this, doing it for 1,000 people, or for if you're a big YouTuber or something, doing it for millions of people. Like, how do you even plan and think about what you're going to say and stuff if you actually view them all as real physical people, individuals? It's kind of tainted our perception of our social spheres. They're tainted, and like it's a bad thing, but it's definitely changed the way we view social interaction. Yeah, it could be bad. Wretched hive, scum and villainy. That's a quote from thing. It can be bad, and misuse, and the social media addiction. Like the internet addiction doesn't exist, and a lot of people got diagnosed with internet addiction, especially when it was in its early days, the internet, but that was before we really like studied the internet. That was a bunch of boomers, like boomer researchers who, saw kids or younger people constantly on their devices or constantly on the computers, and they didn't understand what they were doing or how it's affecting their life. They just see, oh, there's been 21 or more hours a week on the computer, so they must be addicted to it because they're not going outside and playing and stuff. That's extremely stupid, because the internet is a place and you can do whatever on it. You can socialize with people, you can learn things, you can experience all sorts of life uh, in many different ways that we couldn't do in the real physical world. So it matters like what you're doing more than how much time you spend doing it. You can spend as much time as you want on the internet as long as you're doing something productive or useful or just not mind numbing or bad for you, like gambling or getting into some addictive like video game or something that's not really providing you anything. It's just wasting 40 hours of your life a week. A lot of games like that are designed in very particular ways by very scummy, manipulative people that I could be employed as if I wanted to be, where they design all the colors and effects and animations and stuff to get people to continuously watch and feel good about things. It's more than just loot boxes. People talk about loot boxes a lot, where you pay some amount of money and you get a random chance at receiving some prize in the game. It's just gambling. Not legally gambling, because that would make it like illegal to do to kids, but it is just gambling and horrible, again, scummy way of companies getting money out of little kids with their parents' credit cards, or taking advantage of older people who just are addicted to gambling or whatever. But even in that case, the addiction is not to the internet; it is to the game. It's addiction to social media after misusing that. It's addictive. It's addiction to internet gambling, or internet pornography, or whatever. And that's where the addiction is. It's the thing that they're doing in the internet, in the place. And that's where psychology completely fails at researching the internet. They just kind of lump it all together as one big thing and say it's bad if you do too much of it. So that's going to have to change. And it has started to change in the last decade or so. It's more widespread and more meticulous for how people research it. But internet addiction is bullshit. That's nonsense. For various reasons, including the ones I've already talked about and a bunch of others. And as I talked about before, best place to start learning any sort of skill. Like what would a baby do if they're going to learn to sing? The newborn baby can't sing. All they can do is stare at their caregivers, their mother, father, etc. And if they're seeing people sing around them, then they'll start practicing doing it, and they'll understand all the different sounds that can be made and the way you move your body and stuff when you sing. They spend at least a year or two just observing and watching other people before they actually begin trying to sing themselves. Or if you born into a family of musicians, you see people and you get interested in the instruments and in the sounds of them, and you learn rhythms and tones and melodies and whatnot that get put into your brain and melded into your neurology, but they don't really come out fully until you start practicing it. Well, you've laid that foundation, that groundwork of all the words, information, and sounds, and beats and whatnot beforehand. So you can learn anything, including things I've mentioned, anything, by finding where it is on the internet, by watching YouTube videos or subscribing to YouTube channels that do things that you enjoy, talk about things you enjoy, podcasts, and even just like text-based websites like Reddit and whatnot. There are specific subreddits for pretty much every sort of activity. Like I talked about world building last week. I'm subscribed to like 15 ones about guitars and electric guitars and rock guitars and metal guitars and songwriting, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that I subscribe to. So I can just keep getting like other people's information about it at all different levels, beginner, intermediate, advanced, and the advanced people you watch and listen to kind of see what you want to be, build an idea of who you want to be eventually, and the skills you want to have, and kind of set your goals high with an advanced person. Like if you're learning to talk, you pay attention to adults saying full sentences to each other. You're like, I want to be there one day, and you kind of see how the thing is going to look when you fully learned it, and then you piece it together as you move along. Where was I going with that? Somewhere, roundabout somewhere. Last thing I'll talk about, whatever, you get the picture. I'm not going to drill it into your head any more than that. You get the picture. Last thing I'll talk about is something. Something. Maybe I should just play a song. Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah. So this is my baritone ukulele. I have a. If I talk into it, it picks up my voice through the body of the ukulele, because I have this pickup that kind of connects to the outside and picks up the sound waves, the vibrations from the instrument, and transmits them just like an electric guitar to the mixer, and adds effects and records it and whatnot. So it's a distortion effect on it, and along with my standard microphones, which would be a combination of the natural sound of it, which I really enjoy, with the completely distorted, noisy sound. This noise you've been hearing the whole time, if you've been hearing it, is the distortion effect of my mixer. This is what it sounds like without it. But by default, the silence or the air of my room going into the ukulele is causing these certain vibrations that are being distorted and coming out as white noise, basically. But I like the noise. Oh yeah. So I have the lyrics actually to New Boob Tube Blues, if you can see them. I read a lot of lyrics to my songs, so it's kind of hard to put on one slide or something. So I may have to stop halfway through. Well, I definitely gonna have to stop halfway through and click the second one, so that'll happen. I have my mouse here. I'll set it right over this one, so I can just click it and go in. Oh yeah. Nice. If I can see my own eyes as I'm watching the computer, it's gonna keep distracting. Anyways, here's New Boob Tube Blues. Well, I was born just yesterday, but I've been around, and I gotta say, this place you call the internet is grand. You'll be lost in there, they say, but I'll be fine, I ain't got my ways. I only post my feet to only fans. It may sound like I'm full of hot air, but I've been around, and I've been a square, and there's a space for every shape of person you are. So sink into your comfiest chair, 'cause you ain't going anywhere. With your body, your mind is going far. Oh, the big rock candy mountain is abuzz with birds and bees that jump on a line anytime for a 24/7 live stream. Oh, the hours Well, that's the point. Relax your joints and join me in this dream. When your new boob tilting down the rapid changing sights, there's no more need to use your brain no more. Not everything's worth viewing, but you'll never need a guide. Cause the ads all know just what you're looking for. I remember what I was going to talk about. Mid-song conversation. Sure, why not? No. So, did I remember what I was going to talk about? Yeah, I was just kidding. Just kidding with that one. I've been talking in slightly country accent. Always when I heavily practice a certain song with like a certain accent or way of singing, it carries over into my natural way of speaking. So when I heavily practice a song that requires me to sing in a country accent, I will just have a country accent a lot more just in my daily life. Fun little thing I've observed. Just I get used to using those certain muscles to move my body and create those certain types of noises. Yeah, another thing we learn when we're babies in the first year or two, we listen to our parents and other people talking, and our brains keep the noises and the ways of speaking and singing that we hear, and they get rid of everything else. Most people can't roll their R's when they're adults. Because that part of their brain is gone, and Eastern Asian people can't pronounce blah blah blah, the L sound, because those particular combination of muscles have been eradicated from the brain because no adults use them. So why would we want to keep it in our brains? We lose like 30 billion neurons in the first couple of years of life, as things that aren't used just be pruned away. Except for people with autism, they get to adulthood and can imitate many different types of sounds and styles of singing and such, and accents very easily, even making animal sounds a lot better because their brain doesn't get rid of all those connections like a typical child's brain would. Anyway, Pursuit. Well, I don't know much, but what I do is if you're feeling down or feeling blue, there's an app for that. And pretty much everything else. And if the advertisements bother you, just readjust your point of view. The boat don't move if you take away its sails. So, join me in a nicer place where flaws are filtered from your face. You can dive into a better version of you. You'll still be yourself, but just in case your memories start to interlace, they'll save it back up every day or two. In the big rock candy mountain, all the colors seem brand new. Join the stream, then you'll see there are infinite shades of blue. All the coins you toss in fountains go to wishes you can view. You'll be buying time, toe in line, else they start forgetting you. When your new boob tilting down the rapid changing sights, you won't remember what you went there for. Not everyone's abusing, except the ones who need a life, cause the algorithm keeps them wanting more. But there's no use fighting it, you'll be swimming against the waves. So say your sayonaras to the shore. Hit those like and subscribe buttons to get it dripping in your veins, and ring that little bell when you do one more. And then the white noise comes back. Air gets more amplified if no other sounds are coming through. All right, everybody. Have an excellent week. See you next Saturday. Probably. I have no idea what I was going to say after probably. I don't know. Sometimes I just start a sentence and then hope that the rest of the sentence just falls into place. Like if I say the word probably, maybe something will come up interesting after that to make you interested in watching the next video. Whatever. Anyway, have a fantastic week. See you.